So, for those of you who don't know, Pacific Mall is a mall down here in southern Ontario that specializes in selling Chinese or just Asian themed items in general. And one day I went there with my friend back in high school, and we walked past this shop that had this giant Buddha statue right in the front of it. And my friend looks at it and goes, "You know what? That would look great in my room. When I get my own place, I'm gonna convert to Buddhism." His whole family was Catholic, by the way. Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're exploring the idea of minimalism. But before I get started, you guys know what time it is? That's right, it's quarantine memes. Let's go. Anyways, hope you guys like that. So before we begin, let's define exactly what minimalism is. So minimalism is a process of auditing all your material possessions and cutting out everything that doesn't bring value to your life. So cutting them out means selling them or getting rid of them and really focus on just keeping the things that really bring value to your life. Now, some of you might be kind of confused on why I chose to talk about minimalism because as you can see, I'm not a minimalist. So I have this giant book collection here. I have this giant monitor. It's typically things that you wouldn't consider minimalist or things that a minimalist person would have. But I would say that I'm more of a financial minimalist, if that's a thing. And I think that the idea of minimalism can be applied to finance. And if we look at it from a financial perspective, the idea of minimalism can help you achieve FIRE a lot faster. And I'll elaborate on what I mean. So back to the Buddha statue of my friend in the beginning. If you think about it, if you were to buy that Buddha statue for $100, what are the chances that if you decide to move, you'd be able to sell that Buddha statue for a similar amount of money? So you're probably not, right? And I think that house decorations, for example, are one of the things that are not financially minimalist. Well, they're not really minimalist in the traditional sense of the word, too, but they're definitely not financial minimalists either because if you think about it, you can't really sell house decorations for whatever you paid for retail unless you have like a really famous painting or something. But under normal circumstances, if you pay, let's say, $100 for a Buddha statue, if you decide to move or sell from your house, you wouldn't be able to sell that statue for $100 anymore. So you'd lose a lot of value. And I think house decorations is one of those things that really depreciate in value very quickly. So yeah, if you look at other stuff, if you just went through your credit card statement, for example, right, and look at how much money you spend on a monthly basis, maybe pick a normal month and don't pick this month because I know we're all stuck inside in quarantine now, and your expenses are probably going to be very low compared to what you usually spend. And it's not a really accurate recommendation, right? But take your monthly credit card statement from a normal month and look at what you spend on a regular basis. And you will notice probably that a lot of the things that you spend money on are just luxuries or things that don't bring you value in the long term. And you might enjoy those things in the short term, right? You might spend a lot of money on a really fancy meal, or you might spend a lot of money on just something that you enjoy and then it's gone, but it doesn't bring you lasting value to your life. One of the examples that I always give is food delivery. So all these things like Uber Eats or DoorDash that I know that you guys love so much, and don't get me wrong, I love them too. But before the quarantine, I never used to really order DoorDash or Uber Eats just because I just think it's the same thing, right? So let's say you order like a pizza or something, and you would spend an extra $3, $4, $5 for it to be delivered to your house. Where if you can just get in your car and drive to the pizza parlor, you spend maybe an extra 10, 15 minutes getting the pizza, but you'd save yourself like $4 to $5 or something like that. And you're getting the same food anyways, right? So I think a lot of times people just spend money on these little luxuries that they don't really need. And that really drains your bank account. But these days, I know like we're all under quarantine, so maybe it's an exception now, right? So now I order DoorDash all the time just because I want to minimize my exposure to the outside world. So nowadays, for safety reasons, it does bring you value to order food delivery. But again, I'm talking about normal times. And when I made that video about credit scores and credit cards, I mentioned this as well, right? So a lot of times I mentioned that when people spend money, they don't really keep track of where that money is going. And that's, I think, a big mistake. People ask me all the time why I always have so much money to put into investments. And the answer that I give is that it's because I'm cheap. But but no, seriously, maybe I'm not giving myself enough credit here. Maybe I like to think of myself as being frugal or being, as I mentioned, financial minimalist by not spending my money on things that I don't necessarily need, that don't necessarily bring me value, and just redirecting all my money to investments. A lot of people, maybe they have criticized me for, I don't know, having no life or having no hobbies. But here's the way I think about it. A lot of my friends are really into modding cars. So if they had, let's say, $1,000 at the end of the month that they can invest, they would rather put that towards modding cars rather than buying stocks, right? And people are like, oh, why are you telling me to buy these stocks that I'm not really interested in when I could put my money into modding cars, which is something that I love? And my argument for that is that I'm actually trying to find a way for you to spend more money on your car, not less. Think about it this way. If you put in $1,000 every month towards your investments, in like 10 to 15 years, that'll be quite a significant chunk of money. And then you can use the dividends and the payoffs from your investments that you've been collecting for 10 to 15 years. And you can use that money towards modding cars if you want, or whatever hobby that you like. So if you actually manage to retire early by, let's say, 35 or 40, by that time you're still young and you can devote 100% of your time into modding cars. You don't have to work 9 to 5 at some job that you don't like and then just mod cars on your weekends, right? You can flip that around. You can mod cars on your weekdays, and then maybe if you need extra money, get an extra job on the weekends or something, because you'd have enough income coming off from your investments for you to be able to do that and not suffer too big of a hit in terms of your lifestyle. The whole point of FIRE is to have more money and have more time for you to devote to things that you love, whether it be modding cars, whether it be basket weaving, or whether it be whatever you want. The whole point is to get you to spend more money and time on your hobbies, not less. And I see that using investments and using stocks is just a pathway to that. So I'm not just buying stocks for the sake of buying stocks, right? I'm not just buying stocks for the sake, oh, look at me, I have like 100 shares of Tesla, or I have 10 shares of Apple, or whatever. The point is to have enough money in those things so that you can occasionally take some money out and use that money to put it towards things that you love and your hobbies. So that's what I have to say to that. And I feel like a lot of people that I talk to in my age group that ask me, why do you have so much money to invest? It's that my question to you is, where are you spending your money, right? Outside of special circumstances, I know some people, they have kids, or they have an elderly grandparent that they need to support, or they have someone that's dependent on them, right? So I'm not talking about those people. If you're one of those people that have a family of, let's say, 5 kids, and you're making 50 grand a year and you have to support 5 kids, you're going to have a bad time, right? There's no other way around it. It's just, no matter how hard you budget or no matter how financially minimalist you are, you're going to have a bad time, right? I'm not talking about those people. I'm just talking about people who are, in a similar age group and situation like me, where, you're single and you have no kids, and there's no one really dependent on you for your income. And let's say you're working at an average job, making 40, 50 grand a year, something like that, and you have a decent amount of money coming in. It's like, where are you spending your money? So a lot of people, again, as I said, they waste their money on things that don't bring them value, and they just don't audit their expenses properly, and they don't budget. So I think that's the big issue, is that a lot of people, they like to focus on, how do I increase my income? How do I increase my income? And if you can't increase your income by a massive amount in the short term, then good on you. That's definitely a solution to your problems, right? But most people, if you make, let's say, 50 grand a year, you're not going to be able to increase your income to like 100 grand or 200 grand in a snap of a finger, right? It's not going to happen unless you like win the lottery or something. I don't know. But something like budgeting, or something like applying a financially minimalist principle is something that you can do on a daily basis, just starting from now. It doesn't involve you trying to snap your fingers and try to double your income overnight, which is probably not going to happen. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to talk about in today's video. I hope you've gotten a great idea of how to budget and how to maintain a better lifestyle financially and how to be more financially responsible, because I think this is very important to your pathway to FIRE if that's something that you actually want to achieve. Anyways, I think I'll leave the video here. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'll leave the links down below in the description. Don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you like this series. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.